mic is muted.
Hey, how you doing? God damn it. Where you at, everybody? Technical difficulties. All right, stand by. Is it working now?
It's working now. I don't know
What the
what the heck happened before.
Anyways,
And
we're
those are
back
all
from
bloopers
Bristol.
for setting up a live event. Thank y'all for staying with us.
Yeah, there you go. We're back from Bristol, baby.
We are back from Bristol, baby. Got a new flag sitting back here. What could
Thought
be
about
the
getting
final dirt race flag? We don't know.
So
A lot of people talking about it. It was a great weekend. Glad we could be there. Not with the bus for once. That was definitely different for a lot of people probably. But we went up, stayed in a hotel this time, and it was still fun.
Like that? I found that hat. It was in storage. So after all that moving fiasco, I finally found some good hats that have been in storage for a while. I'll have to break them out throughout our episodes.
Sweet. Always love hats. You know, I'm the hat aficionado while you're using the flag aficionado. Now I'm starting to get flags. Apparently, you got to start getting hats.
What's on that bill of that hat, by the way?
So this is actually not the same one. I actually
you retired it.
I retired it. The drivers did not know, but when I was getting all the signatures, so got to obviously meet Kenny Wallace, Kyle Larson, Kyle Busch, Chase Briscoe, Christopher Bell was out there. He really didn't sign much. He came
Austin
late.
Dillon was there.
Tyler Reddick came really late and had to rush. So he didn't sign much for anybody. But also had
Austin Dillon was there.
Austin Dillon. I mean, there was a lot of people there.
I wish Ty was
John
there for you.
Roberts. So what?
I wish Ty was there for you.
Ty, I would have purposely got him to sign like my underarm or something, just to see if he would do it. But yeah,
you gotta get him a beaker. You gotta get like a beaker doll or whatever, and take it to Charlotte. And when we're in the pits and everything, get him to sign it.
That's what I should do. If no one saw it on our on our Twitter, I actually posted it. I just noticed how much in the pic that they took from Spire, he looked just like Beaker. He's got the hair and everything. So I definitely threw that one up there for fun. But yeah, no, it was a real fun weekend. Got to meet a lot of people. Mason has his first autographs as he is moving his way through NASCAR fandom. Mason is my son. That's why we named him Mason, because that was easy for a redneck to remember. My son, Mason, kind of worked out. And yeah, no, we got all those signatures on the hat, and I retired that hat and gave it to him now. So
that's awesome. Well deserved.
Yeah, I think what I'm gonna do is every race we go to, I'm gonna try to bring it with us, and then I'm gonna add signatures. So like the bottom bill will be Bristol, top bill will be Darlington's, where we're going next. I'll probably wait until we get back to the Atlantas or Charlottes, actually, because the race day lives are actually going to be at a lot of the races we're at. So I'm excited about that, because Kenny Wallace was there, as well as John Roberts, obviously. And they told us some fun stuff. Why does his name hilariously make sense for you? Because I forgot to put it on Do Not Disturb again. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, I heard it.
Pause, please.
So you kind of alluded to the final dirt race flag. So there's a little bit of rumors going on that this may be the last time we're racing on dirt at Bristol. Please God, may that be happening.
So yeah, and you kind of got the vibe. If you listen to a lot of the people that worked at Bristol, and they're like doing the souvenirs and all that kind of stuff, almost every single one of them was like, we're pretty sure this is the last year of this happening. There was very little dirt merch at the actual collar.
I mean, I remember in 21, the first race of the dirt race, for it to be, kind of a put on show, there was a pretty good turnout, from prior Bristol events, especially for the spring race. But this weekend, I was super disappointed with the turnout. I could not believe how little people showed up, for one. And I understand that the weather had something to do with it. I was miserably cold Saturday. I know you were too.
Yeah.
You toughed it out for the TikTok live, which hats off. That's you're a trooper. I called it quits. I went back to the truck and I got in the heat. I could not do the last 50 laps.
Yeah, it was very cold. I toughed it out. Our goal was to hit that million as soon as we could, and I didn't expect it to be the first night on Saturday, but we hit the 1.2 million likes with about 200, or that one was about 175,000 people tuning in for that live for a truck race.
Incredible. That's incredible.
That was great. Now, will it return is kind of the big question now. Obviously, Nashville Fairgrounds is going to start being talked about. So I really think they're going to take it away from Bristol. They're going to leave Bristol to just the September race. And I really think they're going to bring this race to Nashville. And I don't think it's going to be on Easter. I really think NASCAR is going to move it off, because that was the other big feedback from drivers and fans. Not many of us enjoyed the fact that it's Easter and we're spending it at the racetrack. Yeah, we love racing. We love doing the atmosphere and stuff. But it's Easter. The drivers and the teams want to be with their family. We want to be with our families. I just think NASCAR, I get the ratings piece. If they're going to do it Easter weekend, it needs to be Saturday night, not Sunday night.
Yeah, I agree. The whole racing on Easter thing, I know why they did it, just to obviously viewership and everything and ratings. But at this point, it's played itself out. I would love to see us have an Easter break again, just for the race teams themselves. That they put on this show for us. So give them a little something back, and let's give them Easter back.
Yeah.
I know the drivers want it too, but I'm just thinking of the team members. These guys, they obviously signed up for it, but
yeah.
Give them a break. Give them a break.
Yeah, and I mean, you got to remember, a lot of these guys are not getting paid a whole ton of money. So you're getting paid not much to be away from your family on an Easter holiday, one of the biggest family holidays we have out there. I mean, obviously, you got Thanksgiving, Christmas, Easter,
and it's Easter, at night on Easter, which means these guys have to be away the whole day. It's not like they could, Bristol's not that far from, Charlotte and everything. So it's not like they could easily go back home, in the morning time or go back home after the race or whatever. They have to be there all day. So give them Easter back.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. And, you look at it and the turnouts, like you talked about, were abysmal. Now, it was very cold, but even for the Cup race, it looked packed. When we were going and walking through all the fan zone, we saw that ton of people, right?
Yeah.
But as soon as it came to sitting in the seats, I don't know if it's just because it was spaced out in such a large, obviously Coliseum, but it wasn't sold out. It wasn't near sold out. Usually whenever it's not dirt, it's sold out, or at least close to it
it's
now.
Close to. Like the fall race definitely has a bigger turnout, and the fans are showing it. They're not – it's a combination, again, of Easter and then this being on dirt. I think it's played itself out.
Which the sad part is, whenever you looked at the track, this was the best prep, I think, for a dirt race.
Yeah.
Like, it had character, it had bumps, it had divots. I mean, even Davenport was talking about the track was actually set up pretty good. I mean, it did start to slick off just like a regular dirt track would. And I think, I don't want to get too far into our recap, but, you start seeing the dirt drivers this race actually were doing good. Other than a couple of our dirt guys, didn't turn out too well for everyone.
Yeah, I was not very pleased with the way this race went down for multiple reasons, including that. So thank you for bringing that back up.
You're welcome. Anytime. And next time you accidentally leave your shirt in my bag, you won't be getting it back. But this time I'll make sure you get it back at some point. All right?
I'm a little worried because, that's like the dirt edition shirt that when I get it back, there's actually going to be real dirt on it. And I'm not talking about dirt.
Well, so I'm kicking myself because obviously we got these on Friday Saturday.
Saturday, yeah.
We got them on Saturday. Well, Sunday, if I would have known Kyle Larson was going to be at the thing, I would have brought the shirts to get signatures on them from Larson instead of the hat. I think that would have been really cool, or at least try to get both. So missed opportunity there. Hopefully get it on another one because I think this is one of those shirts, especially if this is the last time we see Bristol on dirt, having a signature on one of these shirts, frame it. I think that'd be a cool thing to have to the old blank wall I got behind me.
I think we might have a pretty good opportunity coming up in May to get that done.
We might. We very much might. I heard that with our TikTok success, which isn't really much success. But if we keep
we're almost at 30,000 followers on TikTok. That's I'm gonna brag. That's success.
We've done really well.
Nova agrees too.
Yeah, we did really well. We picked up almost 10,000 followers over the weekend. And it was all through the lives and the content. I mean, I added up the numbers this morning when I was sending stuff off to a potential sponsor, maybe. I was sending the numbers off to him, and it was over 520,000 viewers, independent. Now, remember, this is not someone that just left, came back. This is different viewers joining. Yeah, individual viewers. And it was something over 520,000. Yeah. We had over 2.8 million likes total, with 1.2 million in the truck race and 1.4 million coming from the cup race. And then we also did the heat race one, which was another 256,000.
Yeah,
so
insane numbers.
Just crazy for us, for this little NASCAR blog. You gotta think NASCAR is not this huge thing, and we're on TikTok live just showing people what it looks like from the stadium. Normally,
you think about it. NASCAR is having an issue right now with an identity. They're trying to push these new ideas upon us, whether it's the Clash at the Coliseum, doing the Bristol Dirt race, the Chicago street race, all of these new ideas. They're fantastic ideas, in my opinion, to kind of grow our image and whatnot, and kind of get on that fad train. What F1's been doing and their success, but you have to think that there's not a lot of young people that are sitting down to watch, a NASCAR race on TV. So to bring them the action from the stands or from the top of the bus on TikTok, which is a young person platform. Let's be honest, it's a young person platform. I think it's helping the sport. We're doing our little piece to help the sport and share it out there to people who may not be aware of, how good the racing could potentially be.
Agreed. And every time someone joins the live, they always talk about, wow, this is awesome. This is amazing. Yeah. I mean, you always get the spammers. You always get the negative Nancy's out there. NASCAR's dead. Well, then it's still right here. I don't understand what you're talking about.
NASCAR's still around. It's not dead. So let's just address that right now.
Yeah, we still got a lot going now. This live had a big piece in it, and you could tell that it's people that didn't watch NASCAR or really any dirt racing ever, because a lot of the comments during the live was, man, there's no dirt left. Where's the dirt? They're going all the way back down to the asphalt. Like, you could tell they didn't know that, hey, no, rubber builds on this the same as it does in the regular track. You can just tell because it's an orange base.
I just think it's funny too, the amount of people that were commenting in the live too, saying, asking, where is this? Because they didn't even have a clue that, NASCAR was putting dirt on top of Bristol. They didn't think that was a thing. So again, while it's relevant to the inside of the NASCAR world like us, the people on the outside, may not know anything about the sport. We're trying to do our little part in doing that. And I should say you do your little part in doing that. You do a phenomenal job at the lives.
Well, thank you. Thank you much. Thank you very much. We're going to keep doing it. I mean, we got Darlington coming up. The only thing I'm worried about, I've heard Darlington has terrible cell reception. So I don't know how well that one's going to work out. We're going to do our best.
We thought the same thing for Bristol too.
True. Bristol surprised the heck out of me because Cup, at the very beginning, I was getting nothing but bad connection. And then 5 minutes before the race starts, all of a sudden I started getting reception. I reset my cellular data and it just started working. So hands off to Verizon. Thanks for actually fixing it, because the Wi-Fi did not work. The Fan Zone or Fan Plus, whatever they call it.
They never do.
Did not work.
They never do.
But so let's dive into the weekend. Let's start with trucks, because obviously there was no Xfinity this week. It was just trucks and Cup. That was not a good race. That was a terrible race. Joey Logano
stunk up the show.
He just, as soon as he got to the front, there was no giving it up.
Yeah.
His freaking launches, every time there was a restart, he was already 4 to 5 car lengths on.
It was the same way at the beginning of the Cup race, the start that Larson got on the Cup race. Joey was doing the exact same thing. He got out there and nobody could get to him. Yeah. And it was really just a fight for second. But I think it's more or less this track, it puts on a good visually racing show. But when it comes down to passing, there's not a lot of passing. And we saw that both in the truck race and the Cup race.
And realistically, there was some passing. I mean, we were seeing 3 wide, 4 wide on the dirt, which is pretty crazy for these.
But you weren't seeing the slide jobs that you would normally see, like from a typical dirt car on a typical dirt track.
Yeah, and it's because the suspension. The suspension is completely different. There's not that bite in the corner like you get with the dirt, with the way they're set up. Yeah. What we were seeing was I'm running out of room. Let me just run into your door and bounce off of you.
And guys have to clear themselves.
Yeah,
like what Larson had to do.
Yeah, I mean there was a lot of people trying to clear themselves when they were not anywhere near clear. Truck race, I mean, it turned into just every 10 laps caution. 10 laps caution. Yeah. It was rough, and you talked about how you couldn't stand. I could barely stand there. By the time we were done, I was exhausted from how cold it was. And, it really didn't change. It was the Joey Logano show that entire end. Ty Majeski coming in second was putting up a fight with William Byron. I mean, that was the race.
The guys, that last full stage, the guys that were in the top 5, they continued to be in the top 5. There was no fall off. There was no change. There was no nothing. And while, yes, they could slide on each other and try to clear themselves, it still wasn't the typical dirt race you see put on. And it's obviously a different product, but it has to do, with these cars and these trucks, their suspensions, they're not set up to race on dirt.
Yeah, no. And I mean, you look at some of the names, we also obviously had Jonathan Davenport. Now he was in both.
Yep.
And Superman, the $1 Million Man, made $2 million on dirt last year. He was definitely not as comfortable in the truck as he was in the Cup car for the heats. Now, obviously,
Yeah,
Cup
he
race,
looked tight. He looked really tight in the heats.
he spun, and still he did still end up in top 15. He actually ended up 14th. So he ended up 14th for the night. So not a bad first run. I mean, you're talking about the Dirt King, but he did say, like, when we were talking to him at the fan zone stage and all that, I asked him, I was like, did you like the car better or the truck better? And he says the car is more comfortable for me.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, he liked that. We also had people like Haley Deegan. Everyone always loved Haley Deegan. She started out really hot. She was up in the front, top 5, and then just kind of fell back and stayed back. Didn't get involved in an accident. She finished another race. We're improving.
I don't want to. I want to give her props because she obviously ran a really good heat race to get her position that she was in, and like you said, she kept that track position for a while. But once probably some things that were out of her control, once she lost that track position, there was no chance to get back up there, and it's no fault of her own. It's just the product that was being put on the track. Like, again, it goes back to guys couldn't pass. They couldn't complete passes or they couldn't pass.
Yeah, no, it was you get out front, you stay out front. And she rolled off with right in front of Davenport, actually, with 13th. But I mean, you got Crafton came in the top 4, William Byron in 3rd. I mean, it was good racing. I mean, when it comes to some names, like when you look at these names, but as far as the wrecks and everything, they need to get that together. If anything, Xfinity and trucks get the bye week, and only Cup race stays the dirt because trucks did not.
Yeah, they could do away with either. I would say let's keep the trucks, or maybe even put the Xfinity guys out there, give them a dirt race. I would like to see what they could do. But regardless of that, these races need to be shorter. That's just what it needs to come down to.
What's crazy though is the truck race did drag on, but the Cup race, a lot of people were talking about how long the Cup race was. When you look at it, it was only 2 hours. It felt forever, but it was only 2 hours.
I want to say it was like 2.5, somewhere in there.
From what I saw, it was either one of the races,
there's probably an official
the truck or the one only lasted. It was a 2-hour race.
There's probably an official time of the race.
Looking to see
results.
I don't see anywhere on here where it says time. I want to say it was like
250 laps, 125 miles. You're probably looking at the official printout like I am.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking at. I'm trying to timeline. There you are. All right. I don't know
where it's at. Anyways, so aside from how short the race may have been, I still feel like, especially for the truck race, maybe we should just do heats and then like one main event. You know what I mean? That way you kind of eliminate some of these guys and you just have a smaller field. I don't know what the answer is to it. There could be, maybe make this an exhibition race. So if you want to do a dirt race, make it an exhibition race.
So I was just about to mention this. So here's my thought, and this might be one of those crazy David thoughts, but this needs to be the Clash.
Yeah, I can get on board with that. I actually had a conversation today with a coworker about everything, and said, it goes back to, I love what NASCAR is trying to do about opening their horizons, whether it's the Clash, dirt, street race, but let's make these exhibition races.
Yes.
Let's not put points on the line, because let's not get in the weeds of Chicago. We have plenty of time to talk about that, when it arises. But I'm telling you right now, that's going to be a fucking shit show.
Oh, for sure.
Straight up. There's too many tight corners. These guys are going to be ramming into each other just like they are at the Indy Road Course and COTA.
Yep.
It's going to be
dooring the heck out of each other. Yeah. They're going to run out of space.
Rant over.
It was good rant. Good rant. No, I mean, I 100% agree with you. I think this should be the Clash.
I found the time of the race.
You found it? How much was it?
2 hours and 40 minutes and 40 seconds.
It must have been. Check to see if it's got the truck race on there. I want to see someone told me it was only 2 hours.
Average race speed was 46.68 miles per hour.
Yeah, that's because all the cautions. What's funny is when
14 cautions for 73 laps. Did they count? I don't think they even counted caution flag laps.
They did in Cup. They did not in truck.
Okay, that's what made that damn truck race so damn long.
That's exactly what made it so long, as well as stage racing on top of that.
Truck race was 1 hour and 54 minutes. And its average speed was 39 minutes, 11 cautions for 66 laps.
Yeah, and there could have been more cautions there too. Yeah. But, okay, so that was the 2 hour one. So
get this, 4 lead changes.
Yeah.
For the truck race. Let me go back.
And the biggest thing about the truck race was the fact
that Cup race, 4 lead changes.
Yeah, there's no pit stops. The pit stops are competition cautions. They bring you down. You do everything.
Non-competitive pit stops is what they call them.
It's just it's got such a weird feel. That's why I think the Clash would be perfect for this. Just bring the Cup cars.
I agree.
Just have the fun of them out there.
I agree.
And I don't like the Coliseum. Build a short track somewhere in Cali. I don't care where. Build a short track in Cali. That way we get a short track out there, and then make this the Clash. And then that still opens up the Nashville Fairgrounds to have its race, and then Bristol still gets to keep its fall race.
Yeah, I feel like we'll have 2 dates.
I don't think Bristol. You can't put 4 races in Tennessee, so I feel like it's going to be 1 for Fairgrounds, 1 for Bristol.
I don't know. I think you could put 4 races in Tennessee. There's 2 races. I think. Yeah, probably not. You're right.
There's 3 races in North Carolina.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's about as much as it gets to. And that's just because we're doing the all-star stuff back. Like I just don't foresee it. And especially since it's being I want to say in the proposal for the Nashville Fairgrounds, the whole piece of it was that this would take one of Bristol's races. But I can't remember it. I can't find it anywhere. But I want to say there was some verbiage somewhere in there that talked about how they were going to do scheduling with it.
I mean, it would kind of make sense because Marcus Smith is what track president of Bristol.
Well, he was there.
Am I correct about that? Marcus is track president of Bristol?
Well, remember, it's all SMI.
Well, I know it's SMI, but like each track has their own president. But either way, Marcus has had Marcus is really has a hand on Bristol and North Wilkesboro. So if North Wilkesboro or if Nashville Fairgrounds takes a date, I could see that kind of happening.
Yeah. I mean, it makes sense. I mean, you're looking at this kind of racing wise. I think Nashville Fairgrounds will be fun. I don't know when we're going to be like, hey, we got to bring the bus and go there. It's probably a once we got to do it at least. But I'm not dying to go there. I'm definitely not dying to go to North Wilkesboro with a price tag that it's got right now. I want to go to watch the racing, but not at the current not working blue collar price tag that it's coming for.
Correct.
But So let's move over into the Cup Series race now. So let's move on to Sunday. Warmer during the day, so it was nice when we walked out there and actually had some sun on us.
It was like low 60s.
Low 60s. It definitely fooled us because I got some sun that day for sure. And we went over
the lesson.
Yeah, learned the lesson, but got all the signatures. It was worth it. And then we went over to the King's Hawaiian. Just missed Brad, apparently. You can still smell the Hawaiian rolls and porta potties in the air.
Yeah, I was going to say porta potties.
But that was fun. Got some free food and stuff like that. We enjoyed that a lot. But racing wise, I wasn't angry. I wasn't mad at it. What do you think?
I thought it was a really good race. Visually, it was a really good race.
Yeah,
we had a lot of 3-4 wide racing, action all the time. But there was a lot of spinouts too. My God, there was a lot of spinouts. And from what I heard, DV didn't catch a lot of them.
Yeah, so I was watching, or not watching, but I was listening to the Actions Detrimental with Denny Hamlin, and they had mentioned it. And some of our friends had actually mentioned it in the group chat where, hey, this is what they showed for the last 5 laps of the race. There was a lot more spinouts than what you would have seen on TV. Being there, obviously, Andy, we kept seeing spin outs, and we were like, are they going to call a caution? Is there going to be a flag? We're sitting there looking at basically right after turn 2 is where everyone was kind of losing it. And that back stretch, there would be a car facing us, and everyone coming out of turn 4 still no caution. A couple times
NASCAR
there.
couldn't see it, all the dust and everything.
Yeah, I mean, it was slicking off, obviously. I mean, we could see that. I mean, we got covered, our backpacks, our cameras, all that stuff got covered.
Yeah.
NASCAR probably couldn't see it, as well as they were probably tired for time too. So
That's what I think it was, is that they were just kind of, playing it by ear and trying to get the time window within the time window. Because if they threw caution, every 5 laps for a car spinning out,
yeah,
that just would have killed this race. If it was 2 hours and 40 minutes, I guarantee it would have been over 3-hour race.
see, and what's funny is
only 250 laps.
Yeah, I mean, it felt a lot shorter than the truck race, and the truck race, as we saw, was only 2 hours. So, I mean, it was crazy. I know at the beginning we watched obviously Larson just dominate when his heat, and then all of a sudden it starts the race, he's dominating. You're like, okay, he's got it. But then all of a sudden, basically by the end of stage 2, he made a mistake, or it wasn't really a mistake.
No, he admitted it. He spun out. He just lost it.
Yeah, so he lost it and spun out there, and that put him farther back. And then all of a sudden, him and Priest, man, that was interesting to say the least.
Yeah, that whole deal with Priest. I watched some of the replays of it and everything. I get it. Larson pinched Priest coming off of turn 4, I think it was, or turn 2.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember. I think it was turn 2 because we were sitting there in turn 2. We could see it. But either way, he cleared himself, and that's what you kind of have to do, especially at a dirt track. And Priest just has a short fuse and kind of lost it. And he, I heard that he said game over the radio, and Chad Johnson was kind of saying, make sure you got to get him back. And Priest was, don't worry about it. That's what's going to happen, but not really admitting that that's what he was going to do. And we saw there at that last stage that he got him back.
Yeah. Well, I mean, earlier in the night, Priest came over the radio and said, "I'm done with this." He was tired of all getting used up by everybody and just dooring them basically. And then sure enough, yeah, what I think is so funny is the fact that obviously NASCAR fined and penalized Denny for his actions detrimental or race manipulation, and the freaking reporters at the end of the race were going, Priest, trying to just get him to say that.
Oh yeah, they were trying to get him to admit it.
Yeah, and like
they knew exactly what they were doing.
The precedence has been set. He can't say anything. He has to just do what he did. And Larson even admits to it, and you watch it. Larson instigated it. Then all of a sudden he tries to wreck him and wrecks himself.
Yeah, I feel like Larson probably turned down, but also there's a possibility, and I'm going to stand up for Kyle because he's my guy. There's a possibility that when Priest put him in the wall, that it could have bent that right front suspension, and when he came off the wall, it probably hung a left. It's hard to say. I'm going to stand up for my guy here, but it's hard to say.
Okay, we'll give it to you. Larson started.
Oh yeah, but no. Larson definitely started it by pinching him.
Yeah, I get the hit. I mean, obviously they're not going to admit it anyway. Just going off what we're just talking about, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, no. I mean, it was Priest and him were not the only ones. Watching those races, man, there was a few of them that were just throwing that car sideways. Obviously, it started to get slicked off there as we kept going. All the rubber built up, so you're getting more traction. But
Briscoe was one of them. He was definitely throwing it in there. He was dirt tracking it. He was showing his dirt track experience.
Yeah, he was all the way up to third and was pushing for first, and then he was pushing it a little too hard and ended up throwing it a little too much.
Yeah,
and ended up coming back.
Being there and watching the heat races.
Yeah.
I was able to feel like I got a good read on whose car was handling the best and probably who would have their strengths. And I picked them for my fantasy. I obviously picked Kyle, dirt experience and everything. Christopher Bell was a lock, in my opinion, as well. It worked out. He won. But I saw Briscoe. His car was turning really good. He was dirt tracking it. Obviously, I didn't have information for times and whatnot.
No.
And then Priest as well. I had Priest because he had a good looking car as well. So I had Briscoe and Priest, those two, of course, Kyle and Christopher Bell, and Austin Dillon.
Yeah.
Austin Dillon didn't disappoint either. So
yeah, I was trying to do some Hail Mary picks in there. I was trying to use people I hadn't used for fantasy.
Yeah, I thought you had JJ Yaley in there.
I had JJ Yaley in mine, and he did good for his heats. He actually started in the top 10. I don't remember exactly what slot he
I think it was
started.
like top 5, I think. I think he qualified 4th.
He had third. He was third. He qualified
Yeah.
third. So I had JJ Yelly in there as one. I'd never used him before. I was like, hey, what's the worst that could happen here? Definitely
found out.
Yeah, I finished last. But yeah, no, I mean, obviously the good, other than Larson, the good dirt guys were doing good dirt guy things.
Yeah.
That racing battle between first through fourth there at the end was.
I enjoyed it so much.
That was the best part. I mean, it was Christopher Bell would go high. Reddick would try to cut down low. Christopher Bell just slingshot back out of the momentum. Like, I mean, all of a sudden, Austin Dillon would be right there. There was times when, Briscoe was right there. Stenhouse was even in the mix. I never thought I would be talking about Austin Dillon, Stenhouse, and Justin Haley in the top, basically 3, 5, and 6. Or 3, 4, and 6. I mean, crazy.
Yeah. I mean, Austin Dillon had an awesome showing. Like I said, I had him in my fantasy. I figured he was going to do good. He's had really good dirt experience in the past. He won Eldora in the truck race. So, I mean, he kind of knows what a stock car should feel like at a dirt track. Yep. But I said somebody who would be your sleeper pick last week for the dirt race, and it was Stenhouse. I knew Stenhouse was going to have a good showing. He does have a dirt background. I thought about putting him in my fantasy. I should have.
Well, the person that surprised the hell out of me, and they didn't. I mean, they came in 11th, but Michael McDowell with that 360 in the dirt, that was pretty epic.
Front row as a whole.
Yeah.
Let's talk about front row as a whole.
Yeah.
Because didn't Gillen finish in the top 10?
I want to say, let's look at, he finished 8th.
There you go. So front row as a whole had a really good showing this weekend.
Yeah.
Kudos to them.
Yeah, kudos to them. I mean, obviously, Davenport was doing okay at the beginning of the race, and then I believe he ended up with a DNF by the end of it.
Yeah, he got caught up in that Larson deal.
Yeah. So, I mean, he was doing good at the front, and then all of a sudden it kind of fell apart. Josh Berry all night long was getting beat up, spun around, hit. I mean, this is where I find NASCAR to be just spinning their tires, so to say. They talk about saving money for the teams, right? They talk about cost efficiency, right?
Yeah.
Those cars were destroyed.
Yeah.
How is that cost effective? We talked about last week where they sent the trucks all the way out to Texas while everyone else is on a different place entirely.
And then you just kind of think about these components on these cars too. Yeah, you got the chassis itself that's going to be reusable and they can clean it up. But let's talk about – you okay there, buddy?
Yeah, I had to move the light was hitting the corner.
You talk about the components of the cars like shocks and brake parts and whatnot.
Yeah.
Are those reusable? I don't know. All that dirt and debris and everything.
I don't think so.
Do they just trash them? Because if that's the case,
I think they rebuild the whole thing, and that takes more time and money.
Yeah.
I mean, it just, you looked at Denny Hamlin's car, you looked at Josh Berry's car, you look at, I mean, literally Christopher Bell's car for the right rear was all used up. I mean, you look at the pictures from everything, and these cars were destroyed. Bodies, carbon fiber bodies, which is not cheap. I mean, I don't think there was a car out there that did not end up with at least one panel unusable.
Right.
So
saving money.
Yeah, I mean, that's NASCAR being a hypocrite a little bit to me. That's my thoughts there. But I do know at the end of the race, it was a great end of the race. Unfortunately, apparently TV only focused on that first through third battle. And so a lot of people at home did not get to see what we got to see because it was a spin out after spin out after spin out, like we talked about earlier. And luckily, they just happened to get straightened back out and slow by the time the cars are running them down. But it was.
They almost didn't throw the caution on that last lap for Chastain sitting in the middle of the track.
Yeah, I mean that one. I'm glad they did, but it was close. I mean, there was a bunch of them. I saw Denny Hamlin looking back at turn two while the cars were still at full speed because they didn't call the caution until the exit of turn two. I thought he was about to just get disintegrated.
Yeah.
That was oof, that was rough. But
Again, I think we should be done with dirt.
yeah, I think this is it. And a lot of people were like, "Hey, why don't we just go to an actual dirt track?" I don't think that fixes it. I really, Adora or some of those other ones. I don't.
You're gonna have to have a special car for this. This car is not
Exactly.
made for dirt. You're talking about a car that weighs almost twice as much as a wing sprint car, probably
Yeah,
more than twice as much as a wing sprint car, and half the horsepower.
yeah,
That's why those cars are so good because they're light and have 1,000 horsepower. These
yeah,
cars have 650 horsepower.
yeah. And
That's a
Davenport talked
huge
about
difference.
it. He said this is a show, not a race.
Yep.
And they asked him a little bit more because they were like, "Are you being negative about it?" And it wasn't on the interview, but later he's like, "No, no, it's just these cars are not set up to be the same. So it's just so different. They're out there for the showmanship, not the actual dirt racing. Like it was great. The prep was great. It's just a whole different ball game when you talk about suspension, engine packages, the aero differences, all that kind of stuff."
Did you hear the interview that Front Stretch did with Kyle Larson before the race? I think it was probably Sunday morning, but he was asked about, do you think Cup cars should be racing at Bristol on dirt? And he said that no,
Yeah,
we shouldn't be. If you ask any of the other drivers, they're going to probably say the same thing. And then he was asked, well, what track should we race on dirt? He goes, none of them,
none of them.
just
None of them.
bluntly like that. So
Yeah.
um, it's coming from the Dirt King himself.
Yeah, and I mean, you got to think this guy knows more about dirt than just about all the rest of those guys out there. Um,
And Christopher Bell, let's throw him in this too. I don't know what his stance is on it, but I can probably say that even though he won this race, he
yeah.
probably would agree that these cars don't really belong on dirt.
Well, they did ask Austin Dillon, and Austin Dillon, of course, goes, "Yeah, no, it was a great track. Well, you just had one of your best finishes so far this
Yeah.
year. You came in
Denny
first."
said the same thing.
Yeah, you're going to be like, "Yeah, it was a great track." So I'm sure
Yeah.
Christopher Bell would be like, "Yeah, no, I love it. I just won." That's the reason why they love it. I don't think there's much else there.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it was. I enjoyed it. I'm glad we got to go. I got the flag just because it was the last flag in the hauler, and it could be the last dirt race. We don't know. Same thing for the Kyle Larson shirt. Plus, it's pretty badass. Not gonna lie.
Live.
Gesundheit. Can't edit that out. But so.
But I can unmute my mic.
What are our plans coming up? What race we got next?
Felt like I got something crawling on me. So we got Darlington coming up May 11th, 12th, isn't it? Or 13th, something like that. It's our birthday weekend. I know that much.
Our birthday weekend. Yeah, Saturday is the 13th.
Yeah. So we got Darlington at the beginning of May, and then I think what's going to be the best race of the year, 600. Multiple reasons.
Couple of reasons. We're not going to announce it yet. We'll probably announce it at Darlington. So if you stick around and hit our some of our lives up, we'll probably talk about Darlington. What some big plans are happening for us for Charlotte. Can't wait for that.
Yeah. And then we're going to have a little bit of a break until Atlanta in July, which I'm super excited for that one because we got upgraded as well.
And what's crazy is like we talk about it being a little bit of a break, but it's like Bristol, boom to.
Oh, you can go back. It was actually Atlanta. Like this has been a stretch.
Yeah, this is a stretch for us. Which I want to thank everyone that did tune into the lives. The gifts and stuff that are given on those lives, it does help with all this kind of stuff. Like going to these races is not the cheapest thing. Diesel for the bus, obviously not the cheapest thing. So we do appreciate it. We don't ever say that you have to gift. We ended up having some great mods out there during the race because we just started getting spam bots. We had up to 8,000 people at one time. So there was a lot of spammers and stuff in there that luckily we got some help from some of the mods that we were able to make during the race. But it's a lot of work, but it's a lot of fun as well. So thank y'all for all that support. King of Coolers, we talked about it a bunch. They're our sponsor. They're going to be down in the corner. I got it right. Finally. Yes. Okay. They're going to be, now I can't remember which way my finger is. So they're in the bottom corner down there. They're in our link tree.
And then you got to subscribe.
Your point wrong. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. You got to subscribe. I got the sponsor. Buying their coolers using our code FASCAR10 will definitely help out as well. So thank y'all so much for that. It goes towards all these things. And we will be dropping a store. It's coming. We don't have it fully set up.
It takes time.
We're working some stuff out right now, but we have 3 designs for shirts. We have a very, very, very limited supply of Founders hats. This is the only real run. We might end up doing a couple more depending on how much we go through, but I don't think so. I think we've pretty much settled on this will be the only last run of hats that we run. We'll sell through these, and then we're switching all the hats to the new designs. Yeah. So that'll be coming up for the store. Might be even doing something special to give away. We'll talk about that more when it comes time.
Yes. Before we go, though,
what you got?
We have to make picks.
We do have to make picks. All right, so let's see. Where are we going?
Martinsville.
Martinsville. Oof. Who you got?
Xfinity's racing Martinsville or Trucks racing Martinsville? I don't know.
Let me see.
They are.
Yes, they are.
Okay, so for trucks, I think I am going to go with
the NOCO 400. That was a weird ass name.
I think I'm gonna go with Kyle Busch for trucks.
You go Kyle Busch for trucks. Okay.
For Xfinity, Josh Berry, baby.
I like Berry. Okay. Who you got for Cup?
For Cup, I think it's going to be a JGR car, and I think it could potentially be old Martin Truex here.
Okay, you got Martin Truex. Okay, good, different one. I also let me start with trucks for now. So trucks, I agree with you on Busch, but since you've already picked him, I am going to go Majeski on that one. Right. Zane was going to be probably really close to also being right there with it because Zane's just hot when it comes to these kind of tracks. Yeah. For Xfinity, I agree with your Josh Berry pick again, but to make it different, I'm going to go back and I'm going to actually choose Sheldon Creed. I think finally he might be able to get this one and get a win in the column for that team. Obviously, his teammate is killing it, so I think it's finally his turn for that. And then for Cup, I'm going with Denny Hamlin. I think he talked about how this is going to start the turnaround starting right now, and I believe it. I think that he did really well before, and I think he's going to do well now.
I think we're starting to see, and I don't want to drag this episode on any longer, but I think we're starting to see that the Toyotas have found some speed and consistency. Yep. I know Kyle won Richmond, but that was not going to be his win. So I think we can agree that a Toyota was going to win that race if it would have finished under green. And if that's the case, that this would have been 3 straight wins for Toyota.
Yep. Chevy's been dominant. So we'll see if they can continue. Or is it just going to be another short track guy? And then also on top of that, we could have Chase back. I really don't think so. I think Chase comes back for Talladega.
Yeah, they've got Josh still on the entry list for Martinsville.
I didn't check to see who was the entries.
I think they hold off past Talladega too, to be honest.
I don't think so. I think they bring him back for Talladega because Talladega is one of those where you just get in the car, you hold down the gas, and
yeah. But you got to think about it. If he was in a wreck and it was severe enough, it could set his injury back. So I think they may play it safe and get him after Talladega.
He's out there skiing right now with a cast on. He's fine.
Like we talked about this weekend going to Bristol, he's probably got one peg leg ski going on.
just sitting there straight leg with that one. That's his little directional ski.
Yeah.
But
anyways,
that'll finish her up. Thank y'all for joining us. Make sure y'all hit that like button. Make sure you hit the subscribe. We're trying to get to 1,000. Get it all. Hit it up over there, down there, over somewhere that way. There you go.
I remember to made a mental note. It's like I got to point towards the closet, and I still pointed that way. So
it's down there. Hit that subscribe. We really appreciate it. Thank y'all for everything, and join the lives. Darlington's coming up. It's our birthday weekend. Hopefully, there's gonna be a lot of announcements that we can make during that birthday weekend, but it all depends on the support of people like you guys. So, thank y'all for everything. That's all I got.
Yep, we appreciate it, guys.
See you
Later.